The skeptical heretic is encircled. There are a lot of people who weren't able to follow the arguments being made, since there are a lot of videos and it may get kind of confusing. And so I will provide a map here of the back and forth. So first, the anti-heretic made a video response to a user named Anarchy Cult and made a video claiming that things like affirmative action, hate speech laws, and hate crime laws were a reaction to quote-unquote racism and the idea of keeping race alive. He then went on to say that blacks and mestizos don't generally want affirmative action because they don't want the perception of a handout. And the only reason such policies are alive is in reaction to quote-unquote racism and the belief in race. Now, I responded to this, and so this is the second video in the line. I responded that this made no sense, since countries with even more draconian affirmative action laws and hate crime/hate speech laws are generally believed to be less quote-unquote racist than the United States, places like Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Britain, and Holland. There doesn't seem to be any real relation, or if anything, there's an inverse relation between the existence of real quote-unquote racism and laws designed to combat such quote-unquote racism, as if the driving force for anti-racist laws that combat racism, have nothing to do with the actual existence of real racism, or if anything, it's inversely correlated. I then pointed out that as the United States has gotten less racially conscious, support for things like affirmative action and hate crime laws has increased, and I used opposition to interracial marriage as a proxy for racial consciousness. Which gets to the third video. The anti-heretic responded by first using a mind quote where I apparently said that every single black person and their offspring will be stupid because they are black. You will be dumb because you are black. Your kids will be dumb because they are black. Right? Now, the anti-heretic got this clip not from one of my videos, but from another video where the context was simply dropped. Right? Where I was saying that this is not what I believed. Okay? And I was trying to explain this to someone who didn't know what a fucking average was. It was surreal. They didn't know what an average was. They kept bringing up personal anecdotes and objections to a trend to say that the trend didn't exist. Right? And that's what that was in response to. So, a huge diversionary personal attack based on a quote mine that he didn't even do himself, right? Now, he hasn't retracted this or apologized for this or anything. It's still up, and he's still, as far as I can tell, he's still sticking to it. He then lied and said that he wasn't saying that most blacks and mestizos opposed affirmative action based on conversations with the blacks and mestizos he knew, right? Because that would be really dumb. So what I did is I just played a clip where he said precisely that. Really nothing else to it. It was just a bald-faced lie, and I just played him talking. And surprise, surprise, he didn't bother responding to this video. He then revealed his ignorance of what a proxy was by claiming that someone could marry a Vietnamese woman but still dislike black people, and thus they could still oppose affirmative action while being pro-race mixing. Okay? And so, therefore, my proxy between opposition to interracial marriage being a proxy for racial consciousness didn't make sense because of this hypothetical objection. And there's really nothing to say about that. It's like not knowing what an average is or not knowing what a general trend is. He doesn't know what a proxy is. Right? I guess he's saying that there's no difference in racial consciousness between 1950 and today or something. Who knows? That would be ascribing too much thinking out to what he even said. All I can do is point out his inane objection. He doesn't know what a proxy is. There's not really much else to say. And in my second response, I basically said all of the obvious things that need to be said. The anti-heretic didn't bother to respond to that video, so I moved on to another topic. And so this gets to the fifth video. In my next video, I attacked the anti-heretics gotta find the genes to make heritability estimates standard. Okay, the anti-heretic very quickly made a response within 5 hours, which is funny since he chided me on being obsessed for making a video to Lithited Man within 10 hours. Anyway, in this video I argued that how inane it was to claim, as the anti-heretic did, that you can't make heritability estimates without reference to specific genetic structures. I was arguing, and I contacted some researchers who said that that's not true. I argued why that's not true, why that's really, really dumb to say you gotta find the genes in order to make any heritability estimates. And I even argued why finding specific genes doesn't, most of the time, doesn't even help in making general heritability estimates. Right? So And so I made that video, and I don't think there was really any pushback on this, okay? And this is where the encirclement began. The anti-heretic didn't bother to fight that and defend his claim of God to find the genes, all right? In his next video, the anti-heretic, what he tried to do is he tried to say that he never held to that standard, right? And the way he did this is that he tried to erect a distinction between estimate and calculated quantity. Now, in reality, an estimate is a calculated quantity. You calculate estimates, okay? This distinction is imaginary. He just made this up, okay? And genetics isn't Star Trek. Just because you find a specific set of genes correlating with a phenotype, well, so what? All you have is a correlations, right? I can make a correlation at a higher level, at the more aggregate level too, and say, look at the correlation between race and IQ. Oh, therefore it's caused by the race, right? Do I get to do that? No, I don't, right? And similarly, when you say, oh, look, this gene here, microcephalin is correlated with bigger brains. Okay, so what? All you have is a correlation. Until you find a way to tease out causation, that's all you have, a correlation. Okay? And so just because you can name a few genes or come up with some candidate genes, well, that doesn't free you from the problem of induction. You're still making estimates. Both the effects of specific genetic structures and complexes and the effects of whole genomes are just estimates. Both are heritability estimates. The genes don't come with little labels for what they do. What they do is inferred. This isn't Star Trek. Of course, the anti-heretic tried to divert, in addition to erecting this phony distinction, tried to divert from this point as much as possible by going on about gene-environment interaction and epigenetic effects, of which he could only name one, whereas I could name three. And then apparently because I don't know what epigenetic effects are, or I don't fully understand the implications of people with different genetics creating their own environment, which creates a positive feedback loop, right? Because I don't know what that is, somehow that makes my general heritability estimates wrong, right? It was nothing more. The video was over in about 2 minutes, right? The video number 6. This video was over in about 2 minutes, and the rest of it was just diversion, reading the phone book, epigenetics, new science, yours is old science, and just posturing and irrelevancies. Okay, and so I made a video response. Well, first I made a video response to him where I just played his clip where he held to the "gotta find the gene" standard. Right, just played him saying that, and then, so I made a video pointing this all out. That the methodological distinction between how you deal with whole genomes and how you deal with specific genetic structures is a complete fabrication. Both are estimates and both are inferential. What the anti-heretic was trying to do is say that he wasn't really demanding that you find specific genes in order to make heritability estimates, but that he couldn't. But the thing is, he couldn't flat out deny it either, since that would be too obvious, right? Let me say that again. What the anti-heretic was trying to do was say that he wasn't really demanding that you find specific genes in order to make heritability estimates, which he was, but he couldn't just flat out deny that that's what he did, right? Because it would be too obvious. So what he has done is he has invented a bogus distinction, right, between estimation and calculated quantity. He didn't say that you couldn't make. He's now saying that he never said that you couldn't make heritability estimates without reference to specific genes, just that you couldn't make calculated quantities. Okay, the skeptical heretic, he's just a liar, and he's just trying to lie his way out of this. All right, that's all there is to this. Okay, the anti-heretic held to the "you gotta find the gene" standard, and is now trying to backpedal and make up methodological distinctions to make it look like he didn't. Right, and in that sense, he is encircled. Probably won't mean much to his cultists, and his cultists will just keep bringing up a live, unmoderated debate from a year and a half ago where one side got 80% of the speaking time as proof that none of what I'm saying here is true, right? And they're going to say, oh, debates really prove things because, Kent Hovind, right? Therefore creationism is true. I mean, they don't apply the standard consistently, but, what do you expect from an atheist cult?